Well, hello, I'm Jen, your host, and with me is the wonderful Cynthia Nathan. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you, Jen. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's such an important topic we're going to be breaking down today. And one of the reasons why I specifically asked Cynthia to join me is because she has a specific marriage and menopause program. So it's designed to help couples repair, reconnect and rebuild their relationship, which is
hmm
such vital information. But before we dig into your program, Cynthia, let's get to know you a little bit more. How did you get into counselling?
Oh, thanks, Jen. So I started my counseling career in 2012. It was just something that I'm always in the, liking to help people and things like that. So I thought that was a profession that would suit me, and definitely, got some education around that and got qualified to do it and got my license in place, and started off in the post-separation and divorce work earlier in the day, which was, very tough work to see families breaking up. And granted, some divorces, when there's violence involved and things, it's valid, but most of the time it's sad to see families break up, especially when we feel that they could have had some skills to help them navigate the journey, because none of us come in with a proper framework for marriage. And most of the time, our parents are our role models, or whatever information we get from Hollywood or Bollywood and all those other type of things. So that's where I started my career. And in 2017, I faced a redundancy. Sadly, the department closed down where I was working in that agency. And that gave me an opportunity to open 3R Counseling, my private practice, which, is the alternative side, which is I like to look at it as a prevention, giving couples the skills and tools to navigate their journey into their marriage. So I start off from the pre-marriage work, preparing them for the journey. And then we also have a program called Bringing Baby Home, which is another wonderful program for expectant parents and new parents. And then couple checkups, which is actually couples counseling. And my latest program is, as you mentioned, marriage and menopause, because I think it's a very important stage in life as well. So these are the little things that I offer through 3R counseling, which stands for reality, relationship, and responsibility of marriage.
I never knew that. That's really nice.
hmm
So the three R's. I,
Yes.
I love that you're adding in responsibility there.
Yes, yes. It is a big responsibility because, marriage is always going to be a work in progress. It's never a done deal. And it's similar to having a construction site advertisement outside your bedroom, because it's always going to be a construction site, and every age and stage is so different. Every season of life is different as well. So that's why we definitely, love will see us through, but we definitely, for the long duration of a marriage, we're going to need a set of skills to help us.
So looking at this stage of life, the
Mhm.
menopausal transition, what are some of the common relationship problems that you see?
Yeah, so most commonly is people tend to lose themselves in the journey of marriage because, they've got a lot of other things. Life happens. We all have our kids to look after. We've got the elderly people that we need to care for. So oftentimes we are what we call a sandwich generation, trying to juggle work and home, and very easily our marriage can fall into a what we'd like to call as a autopilot mode. So it's just functioning, and it is just the mundane routine day in and day out. So that can be quite a dangerous pattern, which is very normal if we are not given certain set of skills and tools to help guide us. So in this stage of menopause, I think it's while it's a blessing that it's a part of life that we have arrived at that point, it's a lack of understanding and good communication, and importantly, the emotional health of a couple that can then lead to the demise of the relationship. So these are the areas I hope to help couples to guide them to reconnect the relationship and look at it as a marriage 2.0, because oftentimes your kids are leaving home at that time, so you're also learning to be an empty nester. You're reconnecting to rebuild the next stage of your life together, how that's going to look and things like that. Yeah.
I really love that positive slant you bring on it. It's version 2.0. It's a very different life to what you have been living, especially
Yes.
if the kids are leaving, if you've had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, life is very, very different.
True. Very true. Yes. Yes. So these skills will help the couple to rebuild from where they left off, or if they've had a emotional wedge, or something that separated them in the relationship, and things that we often as human beings tend to put our relationship in the back burner because we are very giving. People are very giving. We always want to do for the kids, for the extended family, for the church community, for the communities that we live in, and to our friends. So we always tend to put our relationship at the back. So now it's time to learn, how do we bring it back forward? How do we learn to prioritize each other? How do we learn to accept certain things, that because nobody is perfect, so we want to learn how to work on those areas. And for that, of course, the skills are going to be very useful.
Do you have any examples of some of these skills that you teach people? So, say if there was
Yeah.
conflict, there has been conflict or
Mm.
trauma
Hmm.
in the marriage. How can you help them rebuild trust and come together?
Yeah. So trust is almost like the oxygen in the relationship. So trust is very, very important. One of the pillars that hold the marriage together is trust and commitment. And with commitment is it's like the protective casing that envelops the whole the principles of keeping our marriage going. So there is a sort of like a formula that I use to help couples guide couples, in terms of the visual aspects and the little things that they need to do. So the surprise that people get is they feel that it's going to be a lot of work, but in actual fact, it's the simplest and the smallest things, and some of the things are even free. So people really get quite shocked when they come and they realize, oh, I could have been doing this differently, and I would have got such a much more better result in terms of connecting with my partner. Yeah, so those are some of the tools that I use, and it's very workable. It actually depends on the couple's intention in wanting to have that. So, again, we're talking about the commitment, really being committed to wanting to save the marriage or wanting to bring about the difference to enrich their marital life or marital journey here on. So all of those things come to play as well. So, it's very intentional and a little bit of creativity that goes into it, but it's simple and small and mainly free of charge. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess when you think about your life, we always have these choices. Do we want
Yes.
to take action and take control and rebuild our relationship or not? And
Mm.
it's lovely that for the people that do want to maintain their relationship, to improve and to grow together, because ultimately you get married because you want to spend the rest of your life with that person.
Correct. Yes. And that is the vital part of relationships. That's why the main teachings of the system is to not lose the friendship. Very often, couples tend to lose the friendship within the relationship. And the friendship is what is the foundation of our relationship, because we all started off as friends, and then it developed into something else, and it built a relationship, and then we ended up into a marriage. And everyone comes into marriage with a very good they want a lot of positive things out of it, which is companionship, security, love, connectedness, and all of that. But then what tends to happen is we suddenly tend to lose the friendship within the relationship because of all these other things that I've mentioned before, which is generally life that happens. And then there's an emotional sort of a wedge or an invisible wedge that comes in, and it leads to the what we call a slow fade in a marriage. If you don't realize it and don't pick it up on time, sometimes couples are too far apart to make that connection again. But most of the time, if you're committed enough and you do recognize that you want a better relationship with your partner, you want to take things back to the way it was before, the day that you probably met each other. What was the most endearing qualities from each other? 7 billion people in the world, but you've chosen each other to live your lives together. So what was that? So we want to rebuild on those things and give you the skills for the stage that you're in, because we're not the same people. We could have got married at 25, at 50 or 55, we're two different people. We've gone, through that stages and seasons of life where, we are different. So our needs change accordingly as well. And with menopause, needless to say, all the symptoms that we go through, the changes in our daily routine and our lives and our health and our bodies, all of that impact the relationship as well. Yes.
I can certainly see the menopausal transition with the amount of rage and moods and anxiety and depression coming up for the woman. If she has grown apart from her husband, it's very hard to express how she's feeling in a way that's going to be heard.
Yes.
So is there any tips if you're in that situation? How would I start to express myself to a partner to feel heard and supported?
Yes. The main thing is to have a structure into communication, because the formula or the structure into communication, it sounds awkward in the beginning, but when you use it, it sort of creates a safety aspect around that. So that helps you to speak your heart and mind, to be assertive, because assertiveness is so important in a relationship. It's different to aggressiveness. Assertiveness is more like you are free to express your thoughts and feelings, your deepest desires openly, without fearing judgment, or without feeling like you're walking on thin ice. So we want that in a relationship. And when you get to that level, even the partners, so the men also have to understand that listening is very important. Active listening is a very important skill. And sometimes, men can be very pragmatic. They just want to go straight into the fix it mode. But what women are actually needing at that time is for their feelings to be heard. So more importantly is the feeling rather than the problem itself. So that's a two-step program which I teach and guide my clients. And then we also do a lot of practice in the room so that they get an idea. And from the beginning, I help them to be dyadic. I'm just the guide, and I say to them, pretend I'm not in the room, because you guys are going to be alone at home and I'm not there. So I take away the triadic, but I'm there to guide them to learn and use the skill and help them along with it, so that they get a knack for it to do it in their own home. Yes, so it's a wonderful tool, and many people get a better sense of understanding. And I always tell them, don't worry about agreeing, because couples can have 100 different conflicts in a day, and it is actually healthy to have conflicts. That's what the researchers of relationship experts tell us. Because if you don't have a conflict, means one person is giving in to the other, and letting them have their way just to keep the harmony, but it'll show up in other aspects of our health, or something, there's a deterioration in other levels. So it's best to be able to speak, and it is conflicts are good in the sense that it also can be a catalyst for closeness, because you're learning more about each other. And the whole journey about marriage is about adapting and adjusting to this person that we are living with, and that's going to be a continual process. So this tool helps people to have a better understanding, even though they don't agree. It's important to know where your partner is coming from and what are those needs, and how can you then learn to better support them with those needs. Yeah.
Well,
So back to the commitment.
thank you for explaining that. That was very good.
Thanks.
So looking at couples,
Yes.
if if we already have a beautiful, strong, healthy relationship,
Yeah.
you mentioned that over time there's certain things that can pull us apart. Life, you mentioned, pulls us
Yes.
apart, pulls us each in different directions. Is there
Correct.
anything that you recommend to keep a solid, healthy relationship on the right track?
Yes. So daily connecting is very important, because life gets busy, and then we become like passing ships in the night, and, we miss out on each other. And then suddenly we find there's a big gap between us. We don't know what's happening in each other's lives. So that's the biggest mistake. Another mistake is this habit of technology. So I'm pulling up my screen, and this is very common in every household, including mine, if we don't correct ourselves. So it's like, yeah, talk. I'm listening. Yes, I'm listening. Yeah, yeah, I'm listening. But you are doing this. So this is very, very wrong. So when I say you need to find the time to actually sit and connect, we're talking about the creativity around that time. So when is going to be a good time? That will depend on the couple and their unique relationship needs. and for how long. So we're looking at a minimum of 20 minutes of connecting with our partner on a daily basis. And this can be done as how the couple likes it, whether it's in the morning that suits them, or whether it's at night after work or dinner, or some couples have a cuddle couch where they can cuddle and have a bit of a chit chat about the day. Other people might have a coffee time, so it could be in the morning coffee time, or at night when they are sharing a glass of wine. So it doesn't matter, but it's undivided attention to each other for a minimum of 20 minutes. And if we can do that, that is the groundwork for a good connection with each other. And it also helps us with emotional attunement. And this is a well researched tool. So it's been studied, and it's got a lot of longitudinal studies on to back it up. Yeah.
A question for you. Can that be split? Like if you spend 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes at night, or is it supposed to be a solid 20 minutes of one time?
It can be split, and it's definitely suited to the couple's unique needs, as I mentioned. So it's up to them if they'd like to have 10 in the morning, 10 at night, or all 20 together. But that's the minimal we're talking about. So that's an excellent way of staying connected with each other and getting to know about each other's day. So a fully loaded question would be, how was your day? And you take turns talking about that. So that's a very wonderful and vital step one into this process of staying connected.
Does it just have to be the two of you? What if you still have extended family living in the house? You might have parents or you might have children. Can this be time spent together, or is it just solo one on one time that you're looking at with the 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's more designed for solo, for the couple really to be engaged with each other and to
Mhm.
know each other's inner world, what's happening, what is my partner's likes or dislikes, anxieties, hopes, fears, dreams and aspirations, all of that. So it really can't be done in an environment where, there are the children present, and you can do it in front of your children, and you can say, what, at a age of reason, it's good role modeling for the children. You're saying to them, mom and dad are having our time now, so you can play, you can be in the room, but you can do your own thing. You know what I mean? So that shows them that we are prioritizing our relationship, which then also shows the children, and studies indicate to us that a good solid relationship between the husband and wife is the greatest gift that you can give your child, because then it's a wonderful launching pad for them, for their future, for their, whatever they aim to do in their life, knowing that mom and dad are good. So it is a good thing as well, if we can manage it, and that would depend on the age of the children. Yeah.
Yeah. I can assume that it's better in person, but
Mm.
if, say, somebody's
Mm.
working away from home, could this also be on the phone or online?
Yes, very much so. So FaceTime, or all the other gadgets that we have nowadays,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. Or even texting, because sometimes another partner might be overseas, and the reception or the time difference.
Mm.
So just a simple text to say, thinking about you, hope your day went well. Let me know, or I'm going to bed now, but I like to know that you have come back safely, or there's ways of keeping that connection. So what happens is, these things are ideas that help to form good habits. So when you do it on the daily, it sort of becomes a second nature. And when you don't do it, you feel like you're missing out on something. So that's a good habit. So we want couples to start practicing this. And 21 days, it becomes almost like a routine. And you sort of miss it when you don't do it. So that's the idea of it. Yeah, to create healthy habits into a thriving relationship. Because we all just don't want to survive in our relationship. We want it to thrive. So this is what, simple things that we can do.
I agree. It's very simple, very actionable. I can't think of anyone who can't do it. You've all of my suggestions you've overcome. So we can do it on the phone, we can do it in person, we can do it with the kids around, but
Yeah.
it's about prioritizing your time together as a couple and making
Yes,
sure that you are connecting and that you're not ships in the night. Or
that's
if you
right.
are on different shift work and you really are ships between the night, leaving text messages so they wake up, or maybe even writing little love notes.
Yes.
Um,
So the creativity, that's what I said, intention and
yeah,
creativity. So if you can't be together, you find other ways, other creative ways of how you can stay in contact. And trust me, this works because then you are a part of each other's life. And whatever is waiting around the corner, life when it just happens, you can weather all the storms together because you are strong in your foundation. Mm.
Thank you. From me and from everyone listening today, thank you for those tips. Hopefully they're
Most
going to be
welcome.
marriage saving for people out
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Now, with your marriage and menopause program that you've got, can
Yeah.
you break it down for me and explain what's involved?
Yeah. So it's about helping couples, with the different stages in their life. So if I were to share my screen at the moment, I've got a slide up here for those who can, who those who like something visual. So generally, we talk about, the stages that they have come together in their lives, right? So we all started off at the marriage stage, the romance stage, which is a beautiful part of every relationship. We are in love, and there's a lot of goodness, and we are hoping for a wonderful future, beautiful marriage, and the years beyond. And then there's a stage of a little bit of a power struggle. That's a me versus you. And this often tends to happen when couples are, on the journey to parenthood. And, it's nothing like the firstborn child that comes in and we are struggling with who does what better. I've been taught to do things this way. My style is better than yours, or your style is better than mine. Or so, imagine two individuals are on a canoe, and one is rowing this way and the other is rowing the other way. So it's very important to get that rhythm of rowing together. And that's going to take some work because there will be some challenges and differences, which is normal. So couples should not feel that they are alone because everyone goes through similar struggles. Then we go on to the me and you stage, which is finding the equilibrium between us. So if I were to look at my own life, I would look at perhaps the stage where my kids were in primary school. So that's a very busy time. And I was lucky that I didn't have to work at that time, but I was involved in everything that they had to do in school. So we are involved in the PNC or helping to run the school fete, canteen, scripture, reading programs, and all of that. So we build our lives around our primary school children. And when they finish school, we pick them up, we rush them off to different curricular activities and things like that. And I remember when my husband comes back from work, I would say, "Oh, good, you're back now. I've done this, I've done that. You just need to do this and that." And I'm off to the gym to get a workout done, right? But when I come back, it's probably 9 or 9:30. Everybody's in bed. And so that's a very, very important stage where we become like passing ships in the night. And if we are not careful, we can lose each other in the journey, which then leads us to the last part, which is the you and me finding equilibrium. And with that, um, if we've lost ourselves in the journey, what happens is it's very hard to reconnect at that point. So we are finding that there are many couples in Australia and around the world in that age group. So we're talking about early 50s, right? So they find they have nothing in common. One person wants to go cruising, the other person is wants to do golfing. They've lost each other in the journey. Therefore, there's nothing that connects them. And then they feel that, you know what, we've done our part. We've raised our children. They're off to a good, uni education. They're off to seek their life. So we've got nothing in common. Let's just call it quits. And it's very sad because you have gone through this whole journey together, but just because you did not have the skills to nurture your married life, you have lost each other in the process, and now there's nothing in common anymore. So we're finding divorce rates are quite high in this category at this point of time. So this is why the tools and the skills are to help guide us through all the different relationship development stages. So that when you get to this point, there's still something you have with each other. There's still those other there's years ahead of you that it could be 20, 30 years more that you really want to cherish and reconvene and have that time for yourselves. Yeah, so that's the idea of using the tools, Jen.
And it's definitely worth it. Like you said, if you've
Yes,
gone through all of this hard work, you've raised your kids together, you've made it out the other end, this should be the time where you savor each other's company. You
correct.
have shared goals and dreams that you want to do. moving
Yes,
forward.
exactly right. Yeah. So that's what the tools are going to help us achieve. Hopefully, people use it in the right context and have that mutual respect and understanding, and just to learn how to hold the space, because sometimes it's all about providing a safe haven for our partner. Everyone needs to be heard, every living thing in life needs attention. So I always tell my couples to look at your marriage as a garden. So you have a thriving garden of whatever you choose to grow, whether it's flowers or herbs, and you see it all blossoming beautifully. But every day you still have to water, and every now and again you have to fertilize, and then now and again you have to pull out the weeds. So the same analogy is transferable into our marriage. So it needs a time for nurturance, it needs a time for give and take, it needs a time for attention. And when you do all of that right, you get a better level of intimacy, because you also feel, for women especially, when we feel heard, when we feel understood, when we feel validated, when we feel appreciated by our partner, it makes it easy for us to be intimate with them, because we are wired very differently, gender-based wiring. So for women, you need to have feel love to have sex. For men, you need sex to feel love. So this is always going to be a constant challenge. So the tools will be put in place beautifully for both to get the ideal of what they wish and hope for. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because libido issues are rife at this age of life. And yes, I can definitely agree that
Mhm.
as a woman, when I feel loved, I am more likely to want intimacy and to go looking for that. So, thank
Yes.
you.
No problem, Jen.
So, getting back to your clinic, if
Hmm.
somebody does want to do the program or any of the programs that you offer, are
Yeah.
they in person? Are they online? How can they work with you?
Yeah. So it is available on both options, personal, so they can come in for face-to-face sessions, and as well as online if they are interstate clients, or if they are far away in another suburb. Yes, and also I also have weekends, and not on a Sunday, but Saturday I'm open till 5, and then also after hours at no additional cost.
So you mentioned you're in Sydney. Whereabouts in Sydney are you?
Yeah, so I'm based in Epping, and Epping 2121. So that's quite a central location because we have a train line as well as a metro, and we're very well connected. And my office is a 2-minute walk from the station. So I have couples who come in even from the Central Coast. They like to, come in on perhaps on a Saturday morning, and they'll take a train in, do their session for 2 hours, and then from there go and have lunch or go to the city and have a bit of a day out before they go head back to wherever they came from. So it becomes like almost like a day out or a mental health day out sort of a plan. Yeah.
A
So it's
date
just,
day.
yes, a date out. Yes. Yes.
Do you find that there's much resistance to counseling? Do you find the couple is resistant, or maybe the male or the female is resistant to actually doing the work?
Yeah, so oftentimes it is the male that is resistant. Women normally are seeking for this way out, or to help to gain some better understanding around things. Because I think generally men on their own, some of them can be quite sensitive and emotional, and they could be sentimental. They know certain sufferings of the women, but most of the time men will not do this research. So that's why when they come in as a couple, they are quite surprised, because oftentimes they think it's going to be a she versus he sort of a thing, but then they'll be surprised to know that I don't take sides. I'm there as a neutral party to help and guide both of them to get the best that their marriage has to offer. And then when I put forth the skills and I teach them the tools, and we work it out together in the room, and then there are also short snippets and videos that we watch to get a better understanding. There's complementary readings that I give to them so that they can expand their knowledge on the tools that they have learned, and to see where they come from, because they're all very future focused and very evidence based and strength focused as well. So with all of that, then they're quite surprised, and they say, "Oh, we don't regret at all. I thought I had a completely different idea about counseling." But I said, take the stigma away. Come in to actually receive the goods, which is, you have a person who's there to help and guide you guys. Yeah.
So I guess if you're looking at it, the very best time to come in is before marriage, pre-marriage to set your marriage up correctly, but the second best time is now.
Yes, I think so. I think just as I would look at menopause stage similar to pregnancy, it has its own issues around that. Like the changes in the body, the changes in your sexual desires, the needs that you have from your partner. So I think menopause is very similar to that in that you would know, Jen, on that hormonal aspect. But how do you help the men to understand that their wives really need that additional, perhaps affection or understanding or gentleness, a little bit extra kindness at that point of time, or when they have that mood swings, it's not intentional. It's not to hurt the partner, but sometimes they themselves don't know what is happening to them. So this course is structured in such a way that it deals with that life stage that you're on, and it helps you from there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for the work that you do, Cynthia.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
And thank you for your time today. If you would just like to finish up by letting us know your website and if you have any social media or how we can find you.
Yeah, so I am on my website is www.3r, number 3 and the alphabet R, counseling with a double L.com.au. And then on Facebook, I've got it on my poster here. It's www.facebook.com, and that's you can find me on Facebook as well, or I'm also on Google, my business, so you can find my location and my office if you put in 3R counseling on Google Maps.
Fabulous. So it's 3R counseling across the board,
Yes.
and they will find you. I've really appreciated our chat today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.